Well, Dr. Pieter Streicher, founder of parentscorner.org.za, which recently initiated a study entitled The Dangers of the South African Chatroom Environment, joins us in studio this morning. Now, he's going to be chatting to us about the dangers that South African children face online, as well as the way that parents can protect their kids against such dangers. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
Now, there are some interesting findings that I'm sure will set off some alarm bells.
Yes, we did some research just to see what a typical 19-year-old and a typical 16-year-old girl would experience when she visits popular chat rooms. And we looked at chat rooms that are advertised on the popular news websites in South Africa. And we found that this profile was typically contacted by lots of men. 65% wanted to talk about sex. 20% wanted some raunchy pictures. And that just illustrated your typical chat room environment where people meet strangers, chat anonymously, are basically used to talk about sex. You know, they might have many topics in the chat rooms, but typically there's no activity on 90% of the topics, but those with any form of adult theme, everyone congregate in those chat rooms. So my view is chat rooms is not a place for children. I would recommend an age restriction of 18-year-old. And some of the chat rooms, they have it in small print in their terms and conditions, but they don't really enforce it. Others, they've got an age of 13, which is really not appropriate for that type of activity.
Well, speaking about all of that, I mean, how accessible are these chat rooms?
We looked at the online environment. So, as I said, they advertise on the popular news sites. You know, anyone can click through and get to them. And if one read about the problems happening, it's often a case of young girls, say 14, 15, 16-year-old, that actually they get romantically involved, and often with older men, and they walk away with them. So it's a case more of incidents of statutory rape, where children that are not old enough to consent actually consent to having sex. So it's a case of parents teaching their children why it is illegal to have a sexual relationship with older men.
Now, you know, they say that you were saying, actually mentioning to us that the appropriate age is 18 years of age. And I'm sure every parent will just say, you know, I don't ever want my child to be on the internet. But the internet is something that we all use.
Yes.
So, you know, young kids use it for research.
Yes.
So if you're looking at an age sort of limit or an age restriction, as you mentioned, what should one be looking at? And I'm sure the parents should also make sure that they actually have a proper conversation, very honest conversation with their children about the internet.
Again, the internet is a lot more than just chat rooms. So there are so many activities that are beneficial to children, and it's not necessarily a case of always, you know, that it's always dangerous to talk to strangers. If children have a specific hobby and they speak to someone on the other side of the world about that specific hobby, that is not risky at all. The risky activities include when children speak to adults about sex online. And a chat room is essentially an environment where strangers talk about sex. So chat rooms per se is not a place for children. We see children today using a lot of services like social networking. And again, there it can be used in a very safe way, as long as children are careful as to who they speak to. So on Facebook, they should only allow their friends to become their friends, not strangers. If it is a stranger, at least it should be a friend of a friend, and they can, in that way, control who they are talking to. And there it's critical that where they share information, that they only share it with their friends and not with the whole world. There are some misconceptions about the dangers. The one misconception is that, you know, a child might innocently post their address on their social network, and tomorrow someone will abduct them, tie them up and put them in the boot of their car. You know, that is a misconception. In most cases where things go wrong, it is where young boys or young girls willingly walk away from home and actually romantically getting involved with an adult.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Streicher, thank you so much. We are going to be chatting to Dr. Streicher a little bit later on. And of course, all you have to do is just give us a call, 0839133728. You can also post your questions if you have any questions for Dr. Streicher. If you are a parent and you want to find out a bit more about the chat rooms itself, maybe you are a teenager and you want to find out more as well. So you can go to our Facebook page, eXpresso Morning Show, SABC3. Well, stay tuned. We have lots more coming up after the break. Almost time for your news, headlines, your traffic and your weather.
Stay with eXpresso and SABC3.